Hello, everyone. Today I will share with you a little-known surprise about Galileo Galilei, the father of science. Are you ready? Let's get started. Number 1. Galileo was supposed to be a doctor. Don't you all think that Galileo wanted to be a scientist from the beginning? Actually, it is not so. Galileo's father, Vincenzo, wanted his son to study medicine. 1581, Galileo entered the University of Pisa and started studying medicine. But his mind was elsewhere. But fate is a strange thing. One day, Galileo was struck by a chandelier in a cathedral. In its wobbling motion, he discovered the law of the pendulum. This experience led Galileo to give up his career in medicine and enter the world of mathematics and physics. Number 2. Galileo did not invent the telescope. Believe it or not, Galileo did not actually invent the telescope. The telescope was invented in 1608 by Hans Lippelsheim, a Dutch optician. However, when Galileo heard about this invention, he immediately made improvements of his own. He succeeded in increasing the telescope's magnification from 3x to 30x. Using this improved telescope, he discovered craters on the Moon and the moons of Jupiter. Galileo was not an inventor, but as an improver his achievements are immeasurable. Number 3. Galileo also had a talent for music. Galileo was not only a gifted scientist, but also a gifted musician. His father, Vincenzo, was a famous music theorist and lute player. Galileo also inherited musical talent from his father and was known as a master lute player. He had a sensitive ear and could distinguish subtle differences in pitch. This ability helped him in his later studies of vibrations and sound waves. Number 4. Did Galileo discover the middle finger? What, the middle finger? You may think, oh, the middle finger? Actually, there is an interesting story behind this. In 1609, Galileo was observing Saturn through a telescope. However, with the capabilities of the telescope at that time, he could not clearly see Saturn's rings. To Galileo, Saturn looked like 3 spheres arranged in a row. He called them Saturn's ears. But in fact, they were Saturn's rings. To our eyes today, it may look as if Saturn is raising its middle finger to the universe. So the joke was born that Galileo discovered the middle finger. Number 5. Galileo took his daughter into a convent. There was a sad side to Galileo's life. Galileo had 2 daughters, but they could not marry because they were born out of wedlock. Therefore, Galileo entered his eldest daughter, Virginia, at age 13, and his second daughter, Livia, at age 16, into a monastery. Interestingly, Virginia took the name Maria Celeste at the convent and corresponded frequently with her father in letters. Her letters reveal a deep interest in science. Number 6. Galileo was also a poet, scientist, musician, and a poet? Galileo's talents were many and varied. It is said that he had a deep knowledge of Dante's Divine Comedy and could recite the epic poem The Mad Orlando by the 16th-century Italian poet Ludovico Ariosto, and he himself wrote poetry. Some of them are about his discoveries with the telescope. Isn't it wonderful, the fusion of science and art? Number 7. Is Galileo the hero of a comic book? Galileo's life has also influenced modern pop culture. Japanese manga artist Naoki Urasawa's work Galileo features a physicist modeled after Galileo as the main character. This work is a mystery that combines science and deduction and was a huge hit. The father of science has been resurrected as a modern detective. So Galileo's spirit lives on in us today. Number 8. Galileo's finger is in a museum. This may sound a little scary, but part of Galileo's body is still preserved today. In 1737, about 100 years after Galileo, when his body was moved, the middle finger, thumb, and 1 tooth of his right hand were removed. They are now on display in the Galileo Museum in Florence. They are kept with great care as relics that symbolize his contribution to science. Number 9. Galileo did not say but the earth is moving. This is a famous episode, but it is actually a creation. It is well known that after the Inquisition, Galileo said in a whisper, "Even so, the earth is moving, appur si muove." However, this is a legend that was created more than 100 years after his death. The actual Galileo followed the Church's decision and retracted his theory. But his scientific conviction never wavered. Number 10. Galileo went blind. The end of Galileo's life was tragic. In his later years, Galileo gradually lost his sight. By 1637, he was completely blind and spent the last 4 years of his life in the dark. But his spirit was never clouded. Even after losing his sight, he continued scientific discussions with his students and completed his last book, New Scientific Dialogues, by dictation. Well, folks, how about these 10 amazing facts about Galileo Galilei? What can we learn from these facts? Finally, let's consider together the lessons we can learn from Galileo's life. First, remember the story of Galileo's transition from medicine to mathematics and physics? What does this teach us? It is. There are unexpected turns in life that can lead to unexpected discoveries. Like Galileo, it is important to have the courage to honestly follow our interests. If you find something interesting in your daily life, why not pursue it? It may lead to a new hobby or a career change. Next, recall the story of Galileo's improvement of the telescope. He was not an inventor, but he made significant improvements to an existing one. This tells us that innovation does not necessarily require starting with a blank piece of paper. Using or improving an existing idea or technology in a new way can also create great value. Think about how you can improve what you see around you. Small improvements could make a big difference. Galileo was not only a scientist, but also a musician and poet. This versatility also influenced his scientific insights. This teaches us the importance of having a wide range of interests. Knowledge and experience in different fields can connect unexpectedly and give rise to new ideas. I encourage everyone to take a few moments to look into areas that you might not normally be interested in. Take up a new hobby or read a book on a different field. In his later years, Galileo was subjected to the Inquisition and forced to recant his theories. He also faced the ordeal of blindness, however, he never gave up. Despite the adversity, he continued his research and completed his last book. Life is full of challenges. However, like Galileo, it is important to have the courage to remain creative and to stick to one's convictions. Adversity is also an opportunity to discover new possibilities. Finally, remember the story of Galileo's finger on display in the museum. His body may have decayed, but his spirit and accomplishments continue to influence us today. This asks us an important question. What do you want to accomplish with your life, and what legacy do you want to leave behind? It doesn't necessarily have to be something physical or a major discovery. You can leave your mark in many ways, including your impact on those around you, your contribution to society, and your education of the next generation. Come on, everyone. Have you taken to heart what you have learned from Galileo's life? Stay curious, be flexible, have diverse interests, have courage in the face of adversity, and leave a meaningful legacy. I encourage you to apply these lessons to your own life. I am sure that new discoveries and opportunities for growth await you. Galileo Galilei, he certainly deserved to be called the father of science. But more than that, he was a good role model for us all, facing life with curiosity and courage. Now, I invite you to find your own still the earth is moving moment. Follow the path you believe in and bring new value to the world. How did you like this video? If you liked it, please like and subscribe to our channel. Please look forward to our next video. So long, and goodbye.